All right, well, hello everyone, and welcome to Google Hangouts 101. I thought what better way to start a Google Hangout a session about Google Hangouts than to do one. So I actually just asked Ann Beck, who is out in the Commons area, if I could connect to her. So, hello, Ann. She's getting her headset on.
Can you hear me okay?
Yep, we can.
I was going to put in my earphones real quick.
We can hear you. So, Ann is connecting from her. Are you on your phone or your laptop?
Yeah, I'm actually on my phone. I can connect to my computer and everything too, but my phone seems to be something that's easier for me.
Absolutely. I found the same thing. And so when you want to start a Google Hangout, like I started this one, you can't be on a mobile device, but when you want to be in one, you can be invited to one and participate on a smartphone or a tablet. And so the Google Hangout app is free. We're not going to take too much of Ann's time because she wants to go to another session. Ann, how have you used Google Hangouts?
We've used it for collaboration with I've actually used it with my students in other classrooms sometimes. We've used it with teachers. We used it to do meetings when we can't all meet one together. At Camp OKC, which I hope everybody comes to the next Saturday, we've used it to organize because we have our PLN all across the state, so we're able to see each other and discuss, and just like we were in the same room. So that's how I've used it.
Absolutely. So there's different tools that we'll talk about over here that we can use to share our screens and to do things like that. But thank you so much.
Put mustaches on Wesley.
Oh, yeah, that's right. How can we do that?
I don't think I can do it from my phone.
I don't think you can do it from the phone, right?
But you can do it with the computer, so you can put funny faces on Wesley if you wanted to.
That's right. The Hangout toolbox. So you can do, lower third stuff. There's fancy stuff. But all right, well, thanks. Can you
You're
guys
welcome.
wave
Have
to
a good
Ann?
session. Bye.
Bye. All right. All right. Well, how many of you have participated in a video conference of some kind at this point? All right. We've been video conferencing for a while. Resources for today's session, if you want to scan that QR code, or, of course, you can just go to our Google Summit Oklahoma session and click on the title of this to be able to get to it. My history with video conferencing goes back to probably 1996 to 2001, when I was the Director of Distance Learning for the College of Education at Texas Tech University. And so I was in charge of helping our faculty with our what we called ITV rooms. That was the two-way video rooms, some of which cost like $60,000, $100,000, like lots of money to buy these rooms with equipment with dedicated video conferencing gear. So we've been dreaming, I have the Jetsons up here, of video conferencing for some time. And how many of you have done like a FaceTime, a Skype, or a Google Hangout with family at somebody's birthday, at Christmas? We did that at Christmas a couple years ago with a FaceTime. We're like, here, pass it around, and different people are saying hi. And it really is amazing how fast this has changed. Because, back in the 90s and the early 2000s, I guess I said that time right. That my video conferencing time at Tech would have been like 2001 to 2006. So that was early 2000s. We really started to see at that time video going to the web, and instead of having to pay your Southwestern Bell or whoever the telco was, so much for so many minutes, we were connecting over the internet. And now with the proliferation of mobile devices, we're almost at this point, especially when we're at home. When we're at school with our filters and things like that, sometimes it's not quite as easy. But now it's even possible to do a Google Hangout or a FaceTime over the higher speed cellular network. So there are a lot of different choices for free video conferencing. How many of you have video conferenced to another classroom from your class? Has anybody done that? Tell me what you all have done and where you are, if you would, just real quick.
We're from Ponca City.
Okay.
West Middle School. We teach 6th grade, and we participated in a Google Hangout with some kids from the Dominican Republic. And that was our first time to use it, and our kids, there was other people from our district, so they didn't get much talk time. So after we got off the call, we called each other's classroom just so that kids could kind of play around with it and practice.
Very cool. And was there a topic for that, or was it just a cultural exchange, or what was the context of?
Our superintendent. Yeah, our superintendent went down there.
Had a personal connection?
Yeah.
And that's a story I've heard over and over again. If you know, I have a relative, I have a friend, I have a connection, and it's not just like, oh yeah, I got online on the such and such website and found so-and-so. A lot of times, I think about relationships as building a highway or building the railroad. Once you've built that road, then lots of stuff can go on it. But that's interesting that came from a personal connection. How about you?
Our distance learning used to be across, or our alt-ed used to be across town. We had some students that needed to be in some classes on the other side of town.
Okay.
So we actually used it as distance learning.
Okay.
And Skyped them into a math class.
Okay. And what district are you in?
Veneta.
In Veneta. Okay. A friend of mine up in Reno, Nevada, Brian Crosby, actually the people from Skype came to his school to film this, but he had a student that got cancer, an elementary student, and so they were able to get her a computer in her house and an internet connection, and she was able to Skype into their classroom a lot of the times when she was having chemotherapy and all of that, and it was a very, very touching video. And so, you know, those possibilities are there. I've heard stories of one-to-one initiatives like in Iowa with snow days, and, you know, not that everybody, we want to go make a snowman. My daughter, we have flurries, and she's like, can we make snow ice cream? But, you know, it's possible for us to be doing more, you know, when kids are homebound or when, you know, time or schedules, you know, would prohibit face-to-face get-together. Somebody else in the back said they've done something with their students in their classes. Somebody else? Yes? No?
We use it at the administration building. We have a weekly meeting that we have with administrators across the district. And being in IT, I could be out of the building working or whatever, so I can hop on my phone and
Right.
we meet remotely. And our deputy superintendent, that's his first use of technology, so he tries to use it all the time. He thinks he's real technical.
That's good. Well, and once you add it to your toolbox, right? Once you develop some comfort with it, then yeah, you will get it out. You know, just like another tool. You know, if you buy something new, if you power tool or whatever, you know, it can really do a lot, but you got to get comfortable with it, use it multiple times, and then you'll see other uses and applications for it. So. FaceTime is Mac only. You have to have an iOS device or a Mac laptop, desktop in order to do it. Skype has been somewhat harder as far as in schools because of the peer-to-peer way that it's set up, where an individual can be a supernode, I think it's called, and connect through. And so even though that possibility exists, some schools have been reticent to have things open to be able to do those things. So Google Hangouts is here as another way to video conference. You can have up to 10 simultaneous participants in a Google Hangout. And so this really opens up the door to a lot of different kinds of collaboration than what you might just do with a one-to-one FaceTime or Skype. I'll say this, I think we should really take advantage, and I know with mandates and testing and all this, it's hard to do. But at some time, even if it is after the test, okay, if we've got parents out in the community working, why not have them FaceTime in? Hey, how are you using math? Hey, how are you using writing? Wouldn't that be cool? And we can do this, right? More parents than ever have a smartphone that could probably connect into the classroom. So take that idea, run with it. Let me know about it, and we'll tell other people about it. Because I think that so much of school is like, okay, guys, here's what we set up, and this is what we're going to learn today. And yes, we do that, but some of the most memorable things that happen aren't fully planned out in advance. And when you have a guest speaker come in, which we do that so rarely, I mean, I can remember in middle school in Kansas, some guy that got to travel the world, he had a slide projector. You remember that? You know, he showed us slides of being in China and stuff, and it was just amazing. It happens so rarely. You know, helping to get kids oriented to the world, to careers, to possibilities. And then how about parents? You know, anyway, I think that's something that we could do more of. So Google Hangouts now work on mobile devices as well as working on multiple platforms. So you don't have to have a Mac. You can have a Chromebook, actually. You can have a Windows PC. Somebody has to start the Google Hangout. And what I just did with Ann, actually I'll walk back through the steps of what I did. In order to start it, I went first off to Google+. If you're a Google Apps for Education district, this is something that you have to turn on for that to work inside your domain. Google+ is a social network like Twitter or Facebook. Google is a little slow to embrace social. I'm actually almost finished listening to a great book by Stephen Levy called In the Plex. This is a bit of a digression, but sometimes book recommendations are like the best things I get at a session. So yeah, check this out. In the Plex, How Google Thinks, Works, and Shapes Our Lives. And so I've listened to this on, it's like a 14-hour book or something. It's one of the longest audiobooks I've listened to. But one of the parts I just finished listening to was about Google's reticence or reluctance to embrace social. And, you know, Google has been based on the algorithm, right? I'm going to Google for the answer. And I believe as educators, two of the things that can help us be so much more effective and even powerful is being able to use algorithmic searching effectively. So if you haven't been to a search session here at the Google Summit, definitely check one of those out. Here was my take. My newest one was 2-minute timer. Okay, I can just Google 2-minute timer, yay, and then Google starts one. There's all kinds of tricks and things like that. And that's not a search. That's a Google Chrome trick. But using algorithmic search and then social. Being able to ask questions, get responses, utilize a PLN, which is what I just did with Ann. I said, hey, Ann, would it be okay to hang out? And she happened to be here, but there are other people that could have hung out with us before or from different places. So when you're on Google+, you go to Hangouts, okay? It's one of the choices. And again, I haven't figured out, I don't think it's possible to start a Hangout from a mobile device. You have to be on a laptop, and I do recommend using Google Chrome, although my Chrome isn't as snappy and fast as it used to be. I kind of wish it was faster. There's something called a Hangout on Air, and that is a public Hangout that anyone can view and anybody can watch. What I just did with Ann was just a video Hangout, and I just clicked the button that said Start a Video Hangout. And you either need that person's Gmail account or their web address, or you need to have added them on Google+. So when I just started to type Ann Beck, eventually, my Chrome is delaying here a little bit, her name came up, I clicked, sent her the invitation, and if I did this again and she was on her device, she could accept it. Once you start a Google Hangout, then you can copy and paste that link that's at the top, and other people can click that to join it. In fact, I think that's the most challenging thing about doing a Google Hangout is basically getting everybody connected and having them be in the right place where they can connect to the Hangout. So some of the different tools and options have changed, but over here on the sidebar, you have different tools that you can select, and if you are running the Hangout, you can click on someone's picture, and their picture will be the big one everyone sees. Okay? So if you would do a classroom thing, and you have a speaker, otherwise it will usually automatically change between whoever talks. All right? It's an automatic camera switching thing, which can be great, but if you have somebody who's presenting some content, you probably want them to just be on the screen. So you can just click them at the bottom, and then if you want to take it off that mode, you just click them again. Like I said, you can have up to 10 people in there. You can share your screen. So they used to have it where you could share a Google document inside, and for some reason, that's not a choice here. But there's toolbox things you can add. This guy does not have that real mustache or pirate patch. So there's goofy things that you can do. But one of the most powerful things about it is being able to have other people watch and then archive the video. And again, having worked with video conferencing for a while and having these really expensive things that our university bought, so we could record video, being able to do this for free and be able to go, you can't go as long as you want. Somebody was trying to do like a flower or something, a bean plant growing in their classroom, or maybe it was a pupa, I'm not saying that right, a butterfly coming out of its cocoon, let's say it that way. Anyway, they learned that you can't do it for like more than 8 hours or something because it'll eventually stop. But it doesn't like stop after 20 minutes or something like that. So let's watch a video about Google Hangouts as an introduction.
I know, I love it. I wish we could go back to those times when nothing was planned, because I think you can let things unfold we never let things unfold anymore. It's just so scheduled, and I think the unfolding, being bored is so fantastic for creativity. And I think being adults with having so little time, we tend to schedule everything, and so there's a little bit of a surprise that's missing. I wish we could just be together and not have a plan. There's nothing like that. I think those are the memorable times.
Okay, so this is not a public service announcement from your curriculum department, okay? But again, we tend to think of curriculum in schools as it's all planned out, it's scripted, it's all written down. Sometimes we think the teacher's job is just to deliver that. I'm going to give you your homework now for this session, okay? Your homework from this session is find some excuse, some reason to have a Google Hangout in the next week or so, okay? Because if you don't do it in the next week or so, you'll probably just forget this, and it won't become a tool in your toolbox. Think about people you have a connection to. Just like you all talked about the Dominican Republic, it doesn't have to be another country. I mean, it literally could be the classroom down the hall, right? We tend to be very siloed in education and not do a lot between our classes. So have one of your kids read to one of the classes a couple grade levels below, or do something at the end of the day when you have a little flexible time. You will learn a lot. This is playing with media, right? That's the first book I wrote, was playing with media. Why do we need to play with media? Because we need to get comfortable with it. So your homework is basically to have a sandbox opportunity in the next week or so. It may be calling a spouse. It may be calling, like I said, the classroom teacher who's next door, but maybe it's after school. Maybe it's not with kids, right? Because it's kind of scary to do this with kids. Who's going to do this with kids first? No, you're going to do it, where it's less high stakes the first time. So find an opportunity where you can do a Google Hangout to get a little more familiar with how this can work and what the possibilities are. Let's talk a little bit about the similarities and differences with Google Hangouts and other kinds of video conferencing. I've already said some of these. Free mobile or PC-based. PC meaning personal computer, not just a Windows-based computer. You must have a Google account in order to join. You don't have to have one to watch. You can simply watch on the YouTube link or the Google Plus link, but you can't participate as one of the 10 people, one of the 2 to 10 people, without having a Google account. There's really not an audio-only way to join, although you decide whether to share your video, okay? When you join, at the top, there are some buttons where you can turn your video on or off. You can mute your audio. I don't think I have this in the slideshow. Please, please encourage people to use a headset. Have you been in a video conference where there's echo? Do you know the pain I'm talking about? It can really be painful, all right? If you're running the Google Hangout, you can mute people. We've had jokes about, ooh, don't you wish you could do this with others all the time, mute. But you just can click on them and they, if the echo is coming from them, most of the time that happens when there's feedback, and if you have a headset, just the regular headbuds or earbuds that come with an iPhone or an iPad, you can plug those into a Mac laptop and the microphone works. It works as a headset, but you choose, I guess, whether to share your video or not. So you're joining this video call, but each person gets to decide what they share. And if you just want your icon to be shared, I guess that is an audio only. But the entire thing is captured as a video, and if you do an on-air hangout, it's saved as a video. You can do document sharing, although this has changed. And the way we figured out how to do this most recently, we had one person in our hangout sharing they were actually sharing a PDF file, but they were sharing like a slideshow. And then we made them the presenter. So the person was talking, they were still down at the bottom talking, but the slideshow that they were showing was showing up at the top. It has to be set up in advance. Well, it has to be set up as a Hangout on air in order to be archived or saved. Otherwise, it's not saved. So what I just did with Ann was not on air, it wasn't saved, it's gone. And there's fun effects you can get distracted by. So let's hear a little bit more about a Hangout on air.
Honey, you got me feeling some kind of way. I can't explain, but I'll give it one more try. My heart's racing and my legs are shaking now. Been trying to stare, but I can't control my eyes.
I'm hanging out on the Great Barrier Reef. Follow us on Google Plus to see myself and others launch our exciting new project to reveal the ocean.
We're here to sing for this beautiful woman who is having her birthday in the hospital. Happy birthday! Happy birthday! It's a really wonderful thing that we can all be together here like this. Who wants to make the first suggestion?
Duncan from the free throw.
What's your favorite dance?
Statue of Liberty.
Can we see it?
I would love to see you jump over her.
Larry is going to teach us how to cook.
The ultimate Caribbean curry chicken. Slowly start putting everything in. Mix everything up. And taste it. Oh yeah!
Okay, so I'm going to give you a minute to talk about that video in the Google Hangout on air. I'm going to say timer 1.5 minutes. We'll see if this will do it. I want you to introduce yourself to your neighbor. If you see someone by themselves, don't let them be left out, so pull them in to get them talking. And what can you think of instructionally in your situation that would make a good Hangout on air? Meaning it's a video conference, but it's recorded, so it could be seen later. All right? Can you think of something that would fit into that mold? You could record the video conference. What might that be? Okay? Turn to your neighbor. Introduce yourself to them. Tell them who you are, what you do, and then talk about that.
I'm Chris.
I'm Robert.
I was thinking about your distance.
Do 2 minutes each.
Well, she can. She's got a friend that's daughter of the week, and we're doing, and we teach geography. She they want to be able to find my daughter.
Just a web. I'm sure you probably do. I don't know if that's why I don't know as much about this. We use Skype here all the just a regular video camera.
Which that's what we did with the, because we just wanted to film students when we did our video. And we didn't have to, like, we had Google Plus for it, but we were kind of concerned, we knew that it was going to be on YouTube, so we wanted to
Yeah.
The buses across town. Back. It's like, oh,
Well, it just got it kind of messed up.
yeah. Like you were talking about, like how to do something different and teach each other.
Okay. So my classroom quiet signal is my raised fist. If you'd like to extend your fist to the sky right now as a sign of solidarity. No, you don't have to do that. Some of my kids like to do that, others don't. Let's share a little bit. What were some ideas that you all discussed of why it might be helpful to get to record an interactive video conference? What were the
Trainings.
A teacher training, okay. So, at what kind? Any in particular you have in mind?
Nothing in particular, but to me, it adds some flexibility from the standpoint of when a teacher can or cannot be there. So.
Right.
We had the discussion about that with PD, the last snow day we had a lot of presenters cancel or not be able to
Right.
come in, so
Now, I have to say I'm intimidated because, Howard, didn't you see me do this in Fort Worth last year? So, see, I'm feeling like, oh, no.
Richardson, Texas.
It was in Richardson, that's right.
Fine.
Well, I'm thinking, too, like, if you got the whole thing, we just did the quick edit video session. We talked about the Creator Studio in YouTube that lets you chop up video and create new ones. So if you did your session, chunked video is usually the best. So you could record your session, but then, ooh, there's this 2-minute part that was, really good or whatever. It'd be possible to slice and dice and have chunks that you...
I'm thinking that on the air might be turned off in our district right now, though.
It might be. It might be. But it might be something, too, that you could unblock as a teacher. And it might be something for the teacher domain that they could open up, that may not be for students. I mean, this has happened in one-to-one districts. I heard a superintendent near the San Antonio area, what was the name of the district, tell the story. I mean, the first time they went one-to-one with their iBooks, what did every kid do? They flipped it open, they went to iChat at the time, and they tried to do a video conference across the network. The whole network just came down. So he got on the intercom and said, okay, guys, listen, we can't all, do a video conference right now. And so things to navigate. Any other ideas about what might make a good recorded interaction?
I have AP physics or calculus students show each other how to do their work, and then it's recorded, and anybody can go back and... Okay,
so students solving problems. There's a lot of ways that students can do that now with devices as far as recording. We were just talking, Tracy and I, about her fiance is in Okinawa and they're about to do an Asian study. Think about ways that kids could ask questions, okay? Because that's the thing, and having used video conferencing a lot, like I cringe when I remember this, but we used to tell our faculty at Texas Tech, you can come into the video conferencing room, you won't have to change a thing. You'll just be able to deliver your stuff, and it's like, now I'm like, oh, because it is good to change up what we're doing. And video conferencing should be interactive. Probably maybe, 7 or 8 years ago, there was a controversial article in the Chronicle of Higher Education. It was called Teach Naked. And Jose Bowen, who at the time was the dean of the College of Art at SMU, took these out of all of his rooms, all the projectors, and he said, faculty, you're PowerPointing our kids to death. They're paying for a high-quality, on-campus experience. Interact with them. Stop PowerPointing them to death. Make a podcast, make a video, but unless you're going to be interactive, we're in class, so leverage that experience. So I think that's a great idea, and maybe you could then have some Q&A, right? And that could put those kids a little bit on the spot to say, hey, be ready, because after you do your demo, there's going to be some Q&A. And we all know that having to explain your thinking is positive, and we get a better window into what kids are really understanding. And their preparation for that might be quite different than if they were simply turning in their problem set or whatever and not having to defend it or explain it. Yes? Absolutely. And I'm going to show you a video here in a little bit of an amazing project where people are taking field trips for folks that are homebound and people that can't see other kinds of things. The mobile aspect of this is so cool. Think about what that could do for you being able to take a tour of your school and being able to have a live tour where kids would ask questions, or here, classroom pets. I'm an elementary guy, right? So here, let's take a tour of the classroom pets at our school, and then we'll go to a school in Maine, or we'll go to a school in Florida or somewhere else. And just being able to share things about our classrooms, where we are, and then we can also bring in the, hey, by the way, such and such group's taking a field trip to the zoo, or they're taking a field trip. Is it possible for us to do some kind of interaction back and forth? So, this is the field trip video, and Google has something called the Connected Classrooms Project, bringing the world into your classroom through Google+. And before I share this video, which, by the way, this is a Google, I think they're called Google Slides now. It used to be Google Presentation. This is the PowerPoint of Google Docs, right, or Google Drive. And so you can access all these with the links and with these videos. My story about Connected Classrooms is a Saturday, maybe about 5 or 6 months ago. I think it was actually in the spring of last year, so it was about like a year ago. My wife, who teaches 3rd and 4th grade here in Oklahoma City at Positive Tomorrows, was doing a water unit with her kids. and I was on Google Plus and saw, oh look, they're having a live video conference from Africa talking about the water challenges, I think in Uganda. And so on a Saturday, we didn't watch the whole thing. Anyway, we saw a live presentation, and we got to send in questions. So there was that interactive piece. Some of this stuff you're going to plan in advance. Some of it may be a spontaneous kind of thing. And that's another reason for being connected, is being able to find out about those kind of opportunities. So back to Tracy's story, you know, she is doing a project about Asia. She knows someone there. There's a lot of English-speaking teachers in international schools in Asia, right? There's a lot of them on Twitter. And that might be, time zone-wise, something hard to do live, but maybe it could be. There's a real buzz and draw to a live event, right? Also some nervousness, right? What are we going to say? What's gonna happen? But there's a lot of field trip possibilities, and they could be pre-recorded things that you share, but with a Google Hangout, it can be a live thing. So this is a little promo video for Google's Connected Classroom, which is a free program, connectedclassrooms.withgoogle.com. Speaking of bandwidth, we have just crashed the web. Buffering. How do you address buffering issues in your classroom? I'm actually really fortunate that we don't have too many of these moments. Certainly preloading the video can help sometimes. I have been known before to use the website keepvid.com. Have you heard of this before? To be able to download the video in advance.
What was that, Wes?
The website is called, well, let's just do that right now. I'm going to click on this link to open this up. Maybe. I've also been known to tether my device to my own phone before. This particular presentation relies on quite a bit of bandwidth, so. Did you just do a reset of something?
Yeah.
Okay. I have learned doing professional development that it's always handy to bring your own hotspot. So sometimes I have been known to do that. Anybody know Pastor HW? We can connect to his iPhone. Oh, you're right there.
Need that?
Maybe.
Go for it.
Just a sec. I just came up. I'm a Lindial. So, all right. So I'm connecting to my T-Mobile LTE iPhone 6. Doesn't work all the time in rural Oklahoma with T-Mobile, but yes, in the metro area it does. All right, so this is KeepVid, and so I put in the link that I want to save. I hit return, and then it's going to give me download links to be able to download that video so that I have an offline copy. So somewhere on my computer, I've got a folder called videos, and those are all downloaded videos, which officially I'm not keeping forever. I am just keeping them temporarily for educational purposes, and I'm not republishing them. But that's the site that I've used before for that. All right, let's try this again. Is the network back up for you guys? Good morning, students. Today, hey, somebody's is. a classic moment of bandwidth challenge. Just talk among yourselves. No. All right. Well, maybe we're going to skip that video, and we'll come back. We'll come back to that in a minute. That is a great video. Luckily, with Google Presentation, I think all the slides have preloaded into my browser. So even though that video is not going to play, we'll come back to it here in a little bit and see if we can get it to work. So you all let me know when your internet comes back up. Another good thing to know about a Google presentation as far as preparing is you can just download it as a PowerPoint or download it as a PDF file, and you can have an offline copy of it so that you can have it to play outside of your web browser. That is, it's back up? Okay. That is one of the challenges of being on the cloud. We rely on the cloud. Okay, so I'll go back to GAFE Summit, and we'll give this one more try. Is it a bad thing? Oops. Is it a bad thing to struggle with technology in front of other teachers? No. In fact, I think it can be extremely valuable, especially when you have someone on your faculty who, people look at as, oh, that's the tech person. Hey, guess what? Stuff happens, but we find ways to keep going, and we keep on rolling, and so it's a teachable moment, and on multiple levels. All right, here we go.
Today we did a virtual field trip. Schools from across the country were able to join us via a Google Hangout. It's really easy to connect us with the whole wide world.
Do octopuses see in color?
Ah, very good question. Actually, no, they do not. They are colorblind.
And we are, for the first time in history, with this space station, we're leaving Earth. And it is just too good an experience not to share.
You want to say hello to Max? Say hi, Max.
Hi, Max. There you are. Hi. Wonderful.
Okay, now that's kind of a cool YouTube thing, actually. Do you notice what just happened at the end here? Those are pop-up links that they have. So if we want to sign up as a classroom, we can click in that video, go to a Google form to join the Connected Classrooms community, right from within the YouTube video. That's pretty cool. One of my goals with my Makers Club this year, it's our Wednesday after school club, is to do a virtual tour of our school as a choose-your-own-adventure video. Because you can do that where you show a video. If you'd like to turn right and go to the 5th grade wing, click here. If you'd like to go to the art room, click here. And so anyway, that's kind of neat. I haven't seen that many videos that include that. So let's actually click the link to go to their site now. This is the connectedclassrooms.withgoogle.com. I'm going to click it from the presentation, so it's going to pop out in a new tab. And so this is going to show us what is available right now with upcoming field trips. Past trips, see past and upcoming. So let's click here to go to their calendar. And it looks like there's nothing going on. Really? Huh. That's not very impressive. I haven't updated my slideshow since June, so I'm not sure what's going on. Do they not have events that are listed in there anymore? Huh. And this was a workshop. I don't know. I'm not sure. Like I said, I haven't updated that link since June. This is a Google Connected Classrooms community that is within Google+. And so here are posts that folks are having there. I don't know. I'm going to have to check out. Did anybody see any events or find out what they said was going on in the site? Usually when I've gone there before, there's a bunch of events that they've just had and things that they've scheduled next. I am not sure. I have a friend who did a Google Plus workshop, and the day they did it, he printed all his handouts. They completely revised Google Plus to be completely different, different links and all this. So it's exciting to have things dynamic, but that also means that things change. So speaking of things changing, some of this has changed since I made these screenshots about how Google Plus works. They've changed the layout. Basically, there's still some tabs up here at the top that you click on if you want to just do a video hangout. That means one that's not recorded, or if you want to do one on air. We have used, until the last 2 weeks, Google Hangouts for our EdCamp OKC organizers meetings that we've been having usually on Thursday nights. And so the way that you do that is you say that you'd like to start a Hangout on air, and then you specify when you'd like it to start. There's also a bit.ly link that someone created that just immediately creates a Hangout on air. So it's just bit.ly/start my HOA, my Hangout on air. And so that will immediately start one right away. It's helpful to build your Google Plus circles and your contacts in advance before you are having your Hangout. And you do that by going to somebody's Google Plus page and then adding them to a circle. And so I have circles for educators and friends and church and other things like that. I don't think it's visible to people what circle you've put them in. It's just visible to you. They just know that they've added you on Google Plus. And if you don't want to do it right now, there's a little button that you click for later, and this is when you can put in the date and the time and the duration for when you want your Google Hangout on air, your HOA, to actually take place. Google Hangouts on air are going to be public by default. You can't have a private Hangout on air and have it recorded. After it's recorded, you can decide whether that recording is a public YouTube video or it's an unlisted, private, or you could delete it if you wanted to. But during the time the Hangout is actually happening, you definitely want to be aware that anyone who visits your Google Plus page will be able to see it, click on it, and view it. I did actually have not a great experience with a Hangout about a week ago, and I share this not to, sometimes we don't share the stories of this went wrong, but it's an important lesson learned. A friend of mine had 3 different people, including myself, come in to talk about interactive writing to his pre-service teachers, and he tweeted the public link to join the Hangout. That wasn't to watch the Hangout. That was to join the Hangout. And we had several people come into the Hangout that said some inappropriate things. I've never had that happen before, but I've also never had someone accidentally share the join link. So the join link is what you only want the participants to have, and then there's a view link, which is on the Google Plus page, and it's on YouTube, which is to view the Hangout. And so, anyway, that was just a lesson learned about which one you want to share. There's a good getting started guide for Google Hangouts, like all Google products. The official support pages that Google puts together. There are different features that you can do, like you can embed this on your own site. Our Yukon Public Schools is in the process of doing a strategic, strategic visioning process, I think, where there's meetings with community members and teachers and others. What do you all want to have? What do you want to see in our school district? They recently used Ustream to broadcast live a community meeting. But you could do the same thing with a Google Hangout, and then you can actually embed that video on your own website, so people aren't necessarily having to click off to go to YouTube. They could just go to your school district or your school site to be able to see it. This fellow, the Hangout helper, Ronnie Bincer, is somebody who has put together a bunch of videos and articles about using Google Hangouts. His website is thehangouthelper.com. And like I said, things are changing and they're dynamic. I may have to update that link to that Google page with a link maybe to the community, because there certainly are folks who are continuing to use Google Hangouts for video conferences, but I'm not sure exactly what happened with that site that we were seeing earlier. This video is my favorite video talking about Google Hangouts. In fact, it's one of my favorite Google videos probably of all time, and it's called Virtual Photo Walks. And when we talk about technology and the why of technology, one of the hopefully clearest reasons why we need to be using technology is that it's going to open up doors of possibility that have been closed before. It's going to let students do things and connect with people and learn things that they just couldn't have learned otherwise. And so this virtual photo walk program, I think, exemplifies that pretty well, and it does it in a pretty heart-touching way also.
Freedom for me has always just been going for a walk in the woods, finding the perfect light, and getting the shot. I think I started when I was 12 years old, putting that canoe on my shoulders, carrying it down to the lake, and going for paddle. John Butterell, as a young photographer, his epic canoe trip, 1969. That was a long time ago. One day, I was out taking pictures, and I thought, how cool would it be to attach a phone to your camera and hang out with 5-10 people? And they would see exactly what I was seeing through the viewfinder of my camera.
It was gorgeous.
It was pretty amazing. And the next day, Corey Fisk came into the Hangout.
I love photography, and I have been living with MS 10 years, and this is my world. There's nothing more to my world than that.
I just said, tomorrow I'll take you for a walk. I'm going to walk closer to that old tree over there.
Down a little,
okay.
A little more, right there. Lovely.
Look up, look way up.
Oh, I like that a lot. Yeah, I'm after that one.
Got it. For a few brief minutes, she wasn't going to be in that bed. She was going to experience her own momentary escape. She was on a virtual photo walk, and we didn't even know what one was then, but we were sure doing it. The next day, we posted the video. People saw it and started sharing it, and photographers all over the world jumped on board.
So we're bringing lots of people around and giving them Hawaii view here.
Oh, yes, we have the sea turtles.
Look at this.
Oh my goodness.
We're in beautiful Cape Town, a couple of buffalo.
This is Utah Lake.
I'll be emailing you photos soon.
I never anticipated that so many photographers would give their time and feel so committed. As a photographer, you're in a special place taking pictures, and now people are with you, and for that brief time, you're giving them a little bit of freedom.
I'm just gonna sneak around here.
It's a very rewarding thing.
Can you guys see what I'm seeing at the moment?
That is something.
All right, so turn and talk to your neighbor about virtual photo walks.
I think there's lots of possibilities for lots of different opportunities, especially, for English or for poetry or history. Yeah, the creation, and then maybe even, just going out and going on one of these virtual tours of a war memorial or a sign or something like that. Right. Today, let's go visit the World War II memorial wherever. So,
Pretty cool. I definitely just kind of think makes the world a little smaller. Gives kids opportunities that they wouldn't have had otherwise.
Yeah, that's definitely all out there, that's for sure. So, Wes, do you have to be HOA to be recording, or can you just do Google Hangout and record as well?
So we've got about 10 minutes. Let's actually, we have some time to do some Q&A. Question up here from Robert. Do you have to be in an HOA, a Hangout on Air, to record? Yes. Unless you're screencasting, or screen recording rather, and you could be running software on your computer that recorded, and then you'd have to take that video and publish it. If you want YouTube to have it recorded, you have to set it up as a Hangout on Air. Okay. John Butterill is on Twitter at the Photo Walks, and so he's just posted on the 19th, virtual photo walk with the Deputy Speaker of the House, MP Barry DeVolin, who showed us the Parliamentary Library. And that website is virtualphotowalks.org. Other comments or questions about virtual photo walks? Doesn't that give you a little perspective on your life today? Just, and that's the power of video to do that, and then the opportunity to have a live interaction. I don't know. That's part of the promise of technology that I think we don't fully utilize today is moving outside our bubble, right? Every one of us live in a bubble. There's stuff that's normal to us because it's where we live, it's where we go, it's what we do. And normal is quite different in a lot of places for a lot of different people. Sometimes you can just go a block or two down the road and see, oh, wow, did you realize, the situation you thought was everyone's is quite different. And that can be, something across the country, across the world as well. Comment, question?
Well, I was just curious, after you've done a Hangout, and you're thinking it was an on-air one, where would you go to see that?
Okay, great question. The question is, after you have done a Hangout and you think it's recorded, where does it go? So it is going to be in the YouTube channel for the account that you used when you created it. So I'm in my personal Gmail account, and so I'm going to, I could click Video Manager here, or I could go up to the corner and click on Creator Studio, and it also is going to give me the opportunity to see the Video Manager. And the Video Manager is where you have all your videos, both public, private, as well as unlisted. And so any of the videos that we've published, and it's been a little while since EdCamp, this was maybe one of the last ones we did on a Google Hangout. This was our organizer meeting on January 29th. So it showed up there as a video inside my Video Manager, and it's a public video. When I click on it, dun, da, da, da. All right, good evening, everyone. It is officially January the 29th. Okay, so here's all the EdCamp OKC organizers that were online there. And as we went through and different people were talking, video images changed. And this is a YouTube video with all the same kinds of settings. You can add it to a playlist if you wanted to make a playlist of your Hangouts. You can share it. You can embed it. And so as an example of that, if you go to edcampokc.org, which is our main EdCamp page, which, by the way, EdCamps are free unconferences for educators. So kind of like today, there's 4 main sessions, but this is going to be in Moore, Oklahoma at Southmore High School next Saturday from 8:30 to 3:30. If I click on Organizer, we've got links to the folks who've helped organize, and then below we have the archived Google Hangouts. So if anybody, not that this is the most exciting thing to see in the world, but if somebody missed a meeting, there it is, and so you can go in and check that out. So your YouTube channel is where you'll find those, And like I said, you can make it unlisted, you can make it private, you can even delete it, you can also edit it. So if there's only part of it that you wanted to share or save, you can select that inside YouTube. They have a creator studio, which is a video editor. And so that makes it a lot more flexible, because you have this hour-long thing. Well, there's probably not a lot of people that want to watch that, but maybe you did a virtual field trip and one of your kids asked a question about the octopus. Does it see in color or whatever? You know, you could just get that clip and you could make that within YouTube a separate video. Other questions or comments about this? Of all the sessions that I share at Google Things, you know, this is probably one of the sexiest, coolest things, but I think it's probably also one of the things that people do the least, right? So that's my homework for you. Find an opportunity to do a hangout with somebody, and then really think about how this year you might be able to do something with kids, do something with students. What do you remember from school? Probably things that you created. I remember times we went outside. It was so rare. We went outside and we did something. I mean, your kids could do this, right? With a smartphone or a tablet, they could, you know, have a short tour of the school. They could go to somewhere in the community. You could have a community partner. That could be a museum. That could be the fire station. I mean, I don't know, community helpers, community friends. There's all kinds of possibilities, and it's not just like the fireman comes and brings the fire extinguisher and shows you their helmet. I mean, somebody could go to the fire station, and yes, you could record a video, but you could also do something live. You could have a team from your school that went to go to the fire station, because everybody's not going to fit, you know, inside the area, and then they could video back. Back in 2007, I had a chance to go to Honolulu, Hawaii. It's when I worked for AT&T for 2 years. And they were dedicating the USS Oklahoma Memorial. And so when I heard about this, I thought, that's kind of cool. I think we should have a video team. Don't you think we should have a video team there to video conference this back to Oklahoma students? And so we had a team of 4 that went there with OETA. And they didn't have 3G phone service in Honolulu at the time. It was just edge. So in order to video conference with survivors of the USS Oklahoma, we actually bought a 100-foot Ethernet cable at CompUSA. Remember that? And we borrowed the cable modem of the firemen, and we ran it into the garage. They pulled their truck out, and the USS Missouri was right behind. And we video conferenced to, I think, about 11 Oklahoma schools that got to be there live for the presentation. But then the kids got to ask questions, okay? And I guess that's something I just maybe wrap up with as we think about Google Hangouts and video conferencing is we're living in this crazy world where there's so much access to video. A Hangout or a FaceTime or a Skype lets us be interactive. And once our kids develop some knowledge, some background, some schema about something, we've been studying World War II for 3 weeks, or we've been studying the rainforest for 2 weeks, or whatever, that's a great time to have an interactive video conference. Why? Because the kids will hopefully come up with better questions. They've studied stuff. You can have them be thinking about those stuff. What would you like to ask? And set that up. We're going to have an expert. We're going to have a World War II veteran. There's not that many still alive. We're going to have somebody come to our classroom and talk to us. What kinds of questions do you guys want to ask? And so I think that's a great way to think about setting up the video conference. It's like a culminating activity where the kids have good background, and then they're preparing those questions in advance. The best way, in Wes's view, to use a video conference is to be interactive, right? Because the direct instruction part, the non-interactive part, that makes a great video by itself. Leverage the interactive potential of the moment. If you're in a Hangout, how are we going to be interactive? And think about that with your kids too. And that's how you can blend it as well with a field trip experience. You guys can create something that other kids could take. Take several videos. Those are still videos. Then let's interact. You guys ask us questions. Have our kids, here, I'm going to explain to you how we use, we're doing a science STEM project, and we're going to use our calculus to measure change over time. Whatever we're doing, but let's have ways that we're going to be interactive. that's not technology abuse. Technology abuse could be, using the tool for the wrong purpose, and using the Hangout only to deliver information might be a bit of a misuse. If we're interactive, just like in that photo walk where you said, oh, can you go a little bit higher? Can you turn here? Can you see? All of that interaction makes experiences that might not have been possible otherwise, because the person at the other end didn't say that, didn't show that, didn't do that. Any other questions you'd like to ask? Well, please connect with me. I'm on Twitter a lot, and those websites, I have all the handouts for my sessions on that site. And I thank you for your time, and I hope that you'll accept your homework challenge and do a Google Hangout, and especially find some way to do that in the not too distant future with your kids. Okay? Because it very well could be a learning experience that they don't ever forget. In a good way, okay? Because they learned something, they did something that they weren't expecting, that you weren't expecting, that was transformative. It wouldn't have happened without the technology. Thank you all very much.
Is UConn a one-phone school?
No, we are not.